photo.
Yeah, just a photo, just a profile photo over here.
My goodness gracious.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, only 9
No,
people so far.
a lot of people is going to build up. I
Yeah.
knew that's going to happen.
Yeah, hi, okay.
Okay.
Okay, good
I'm
thing.
okay now.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Good evening to you. This is a very unusual live stream. Today, we have got Dragon Tan live streaming from a car because he thought that I'm in Singapore. He came over to my house, and it's my fault because I never make myself very clear. Yes, okay. Hi, Mike Leong. Everybody say hi to Dragon Tan,
Hey,
please. Yes.
hi, all friends. Yeah.
Okay. And if someone would be so kind. First of all, everybody who come in, please give a like. Okay, today we have a special guest, right? He traveled, tens of kilometers away from his house to my house. Okay, only find that he's got to fly a few hundred kilometers to reach me if you want to receive me in Korea. Yes, okay. Everybody, please give a like. The like is extremely important. The like, okay. As you come in, please give a like. Yes. Can everybody hear Dragon Tan?
Can you all hear me? Clear? Okay.
I can hear you. I don't know about rest. Okay. Okay. The sound test and visual test, everybody. Yes, loud and clear. Very good. Okay. Yes, thank you. All right, cool. Oh, Jamie, your first time. Great. Okay. All right, good. Okay. So thanks everybody from joining. Now, by now, everybody would have known that the government has slapped a very serious ABSD on the entire private property market. Okay. And I thought that it is important for us to get some expert opinion on what do we think of the implication of this ABSD. Today we are very fortunate that we have got Dragon Tan, right, the king of EC in Singapore, and he knows what's happening on the ground. Okay, he can give us some ground analysis. And I'm gonna make a few phone calls. I did some data search as well. So mine is very academic, but he's really experienced on the ground. Okay, so I thought it's important for us to see. So really, the question in top of everybody's mind right now is that how serious is this ABSD? Okay, how serious is this ABSD? And I would say that my view and Dragon Tan's view may be different. My view and your view may be different with audience. Okay, my view with all other live streamers may be different as well. But let's take a look as well, right? Okay. So maybe Dragon, I'll do a bit of Q&A, and then we invite all you to ask questions. Okay. We'll get Dragon to talk a little bit. I'll talk a little bit. Okay. So maybe first thing is my view of this whole thing, and please, Dragon, please correct me if you have a different view. Okay. The ABSD that was slapped upon this time is, from what a minister said and what a press release, is really targeted at the investors, not the owners. I think that's a very important distinction, right?
Rich investor is just not ordinary folks. Yeah, it's a rich investor.
Yeah. So in short, people who have who are investor in a private property, and more importantly, they are slapping a heavier one on the foreigners, and that's where I thought it's important to have a view. My view is that I look at the statistics, right? Last year, about 30% of the foreigners who purchased were Chinese. That was 2022. 2023 is where China opened up. Okay, and I don't have a numbers, and please correct me with your ground experience. I would imagine that at least 50% will be Chinese, and these are people are flush with, This will make Dragon Time us look like ordinary people in Swating. So these are people flush with cash. And my gut feeling is that when the government slap ABSD from 30 to 60, it's not going to deter a lot of them to come, because they are not investors. They are refugees. They are trying to escape a harsh regime that's coming down on rich people. When your life is at stake, okay, 30% is not make a difference. And besides, their money and make this a bit say lah. Okay. So anyway, this is my view. Over to you. Okay, Dragon.
Okay,
Hey, rest of you guys. 37
must
people
like,
give a
must like.
like out.
Yeah.
253. Very rude, nah. Very rude to our invited guests.
Just like.
Please, all right, guys.
All right. Okay, Sifu, anyway, good evening to all of you. Currently now is around coming close to 11. And right now I'm just somewhere nearby Mr. Lu's place in Singapore. Yeah, little did I know that he's in Korea today. Yeah, but it's okay, Sifu. Okay, anyway, we still can have the live sharing on the YouTube. Thanks to you. Okay, so basically, I guess that everybody know. So last night I was watching my Netflix. Netflix. Suddenly I received text from 12 midnight. That was 20. In fact, it's early this morning, lah. Yeah, wee hour. So I received, and the first thing I came to take a look at it is that, wow, okay, very, very harsh, very, very serious. Government is so serious. And if you all happen to watch the previous video of my sharing with Mr. Lu, since I think Sifu, since 1 year plus ago, we've been sharing occasionally. Typically all our prediction are quite on track, or probably I would say that my prediction of the rich foreigner coming in, the rich family office, or the family office that's been set up in Singapore, is all on track. So this time around, the measure, okay, the measure, I've talked about the Singaporean first. Now the measure apply across to Singaporean, to PR, to foreigner, and even to buyers who are just probably like me. I plan to buy something under trust as well next year, under my child. We are affected as well. Or on the property purchase, on the second property purchase on Singaporean has increased from 17% to 20%, PR 25% to 30%, as well as for foreigner, the very first property from 30% to 60%. And trust. And for anybody who want to buy property under trust, that is buying under your children below 21 years old, your ABSD that is refundable will be increased from 35% to 65%. Wow. So the moment now when I see this measure slap, it is really it's very impactful on the rich foreigner as well.
几够力, right? In the
Very
Malaysian way,
coldly,
几
very
够
coldly,
力, right?
very coldly, very coldly.
Yeah.
Because all the while in the market itself, I talk about the Singaporean and the PR. When they are going for the second property purchase, they would not pay ABSD lah. You know what? What they do? They will either do a decoupling from their existing private property. If not, they will sell the HDB. And each of the partner or the couple, they will just buy a private property each, just to not say avoid paying, just not to pay the ABSD, because it doesn't make sense right now to pay the ABSD that is 20% for Singaporean and 30% for PR on your second property. Because even you have the intention to keep your current HDB to rent out, the total amount of time to recover your expenses on ABSD will take easily 4 to 6 years. And currently the interest rate is not low, it's high at 3.8% easily. So it doesn't make any sense if you want to keep your HDB and you want to be jolly pay for your ABSD for 20%. So this is the current situation now. For the local, this is the mass market. When we come to the foreigner, our video, past video has been on track saying that there'll be a lot of rich Chinese foreigner, even the India, the rich Indian are coming in as well, the Malaysian are coming in as well. Now, for a rich multi-millionaire, for them to pay 30%, previously it was 30%. To be honest, it's a bit heartache. But right now with 60%, it's even more heartache. So if let's say I'm a multi-billionaire, no doubt all this money to me is sub soy. I mean, no hard feeling. I'm just putting the fact. No doubt it's a small money, but it's still money. It's still money. So what they do is that if let's say I'm a billionaire, probably I'll just turn my attention to elsewhere. I'll go into commercial building. I'll go for industrial building. Or probably I'll go somewhere to overseas property like the UK, Australia property, or somewhere else rather than Singapore. Because I think that the government did a good job in trying to introducing harsher measure. Few reasons. Reason is number one is for the price to be sustained in the long run. Number two, it could be that GE is coming next year. And I'm speaking on the ground with a lot of young Singaporeans. Not only people at around my age who own few property or one property or condo or whatever. I'm speaking to my younger cousin, my younger niece, my younger nephew. How are your friends feeling right now in their 20s? And probably they want to get married, and then they feel that probably they're a bit priced out from the current property market. The answer from my cousin is that they feel very upset and very angry. So I
Yeah,
very upset and very
I
angry.
totally agree. I totally. Even I'm angry. I'm angry with why? Because my kids are priced out. Yeah, well, I can imagine.
I think that the government remember what happened in I think I mentioned this before. Back then in 2011, there was a GE where we lose our dear George Hill. So I think that was the time where similar thing has happened. So this time around, I think government really did a good job, try to monitor and should, if let's say the coming 1 or 2 months, you see more and more news articles of HDB where it hit above 1 million, probably in the prime area like Tiong Bahru, Red Hill, Dawson area, Pinnacle and Duxton. I believe that government will take additional measure to cramp down the price.
I also think so. So I
Definitely.
actually think that today there was a reporter who asked him about HDB. Okay, and he only talked about supply side, a lot of houses coming, but he never talked about demand side, what they're gonna do. So basically, what my guess is what he's saying is that 你们看着办吧, yeah. So look at you may not realize, but our BTO prices are driven up by the price of the resale flats also. Because when a resale flat goes up, the BTO flat also go up. Yeah. So nobody's with the exception of a smaller percentage of a few Singaporeans which own multiple property. Most Singaporean, who have children, especially when their property price goes up, they start to get worried for their own children. Yeah. So that's my feeling. Yeah.
I think that personally, Mr. Lu and me, we welcome the measure. Because if the hot funds from overseas like China is coming over to Singapore, it's pretty quite scary. And the last few months, I actually met a few so-called Chinese so-called clientele, and they all have the intention to set up family office in Singapore, including a few secretarial companies, those kind of companies that set up the
50 million.
easily 50 million. And now back then, when in January, when the Chinese opened its border, in fact, the Chinese government is very smart. They know that a lot of rich Chinese will be exiting China. So in fact, the PRC, or so-called the CCP, has tried to not cramp down, but try to control the amount of funds that is exiting China. In the past, it's 50,000 USD per year per person, that one person can actually TT out of China. So right now, so long that there is around 20,000 USD that's been TT or remitted out from China, there will be a red flag alert. So this is the current situation right now. I've been spoken not only to one, to at least few Chinese so-called client who plan to set up family office in Singapore. So always the question is that how to bring the money out from China, and they keep
不是没有钱，是不知道怎么把钱拿出来。
So the government is very smart. The CCP government, they are so smart. They know that a lot of people will be exiting from China, going to Australia, going to Singapore, going to elsewhere around the world. So a lot of measures have been so-called carried out in China itself. So but somehow or rather, I don't know how they're going to bring the money out, but I believe that there's still a portion of people who know the ways to bring the money out from China. And
Yeah.
this is the right time to have the control. Other than that, another phenomenon that I see in show flat recently, like Tembusu Grand. It was a hot launch. On the day itself, I think that we have easily 50% sold. So I noticed that they are a common trend that parents are buying, or they're paying the new launches condo, and they're paying the down payment on behalf of their children. So one of my buyer happened to be a 21-year-old. Um, is a male, currently in the army, and in the OCS, just like them. So the parents are
What?
so the parents are
So
actually,
young, the parents will buy
yeah,
house for them.
easily the down payment is easily 500 plus K. So this is a phenomenon here. That's a private condo new launch. So as for the recent EC launches, that is Tenet, that was in November, December itself. Wow, okay, I was helping my agent who was closing around 18 to 20 groups of buyer. And interestingly, I encountered about 6 to 8 groups where the buyers are in their late 20s. It's a couple in their late 20s. They're buying the EC. And interestingly, they came with their parents. And the parents is the one who actually issued the check. for the boys. That's the yeah. So there's been an increasing trend where I see that in new launches itself, the parents are helping their children to pay for the down payment. Of course, the children are professional, with good income. Just that because of their young age, their cash and CPF saving are not substantial enough to pay for the down payment. So this is the increasing trend that I see in the past few show flat launches, and probably because the parents has no other name to use. Maybe they want to buy for their own investment in a private condo. In EC, obviously not lah. EC is for their children. So this is happening right now.
I
Sharing.
have a I have a unusual thought of this, and my take. Let's talk about the foreigners first, because the ABSD increase of the locals is not that xiong, except the trust one. The trust one, and maybe you could talk about trust one later. But most of the local increase the ABSD is not that xiong. It's the foreigner one that went from 30 to 60. My take is that number one on top, my guess is that last year was 30%, but this year the Chinese probably will form 50%. Okay, but the rest are Malaysian, Chinese, US, and all these people. These people will, my take is they will pull back. They'll pull back. Okay, but the Chinese are different. They are trying. They are like the refugee. They like 救命. They like run. When your life, you weigh your life versus 30% ABSD increase, they got no problem with that. I can understand, right? And besides, someone said this. They all pay additional 30%. It's like when we go to Malaysia. We look at JB houses. And it's the same feeling. My take is that my guess that our Singapore government also know what I said. So that increase in 30% is not so much a cooling measure. It's a fleecing measure. It's like basically, 反正你们要 like you gotta come, right? I whack you really hard and take more money from you, right? Give every bit of excuse I have to take money. We welcome you guys to come, okay? Yeah. So this is me cracking some jokes, but I think this joke may have some seriousness in it. I don't know. What do you think? When you met the Chinese on the ground, do they look like they're flush with cash and like, close one night just buy?
They look ordinary, and they are very cautious as well. Definitely, they have their own equity manager who manage the funds for them. Because when they set up a family office, there'll be an equity manager that manage the fund. So basically, they're still very selective in what they buy. Um,
Oh, it's not that they
very
are like
selective. They're not idiot lah.
lots of money.
If they're idiot, they wouldn't be so rich in the first place. 对吧，师傅? Rich people cannot be idiot, what? Correct or not?
You're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
If they're idiot, I don't think they're so rich. They are multi-tons millionaire. So so typically we don't take them like carrot. It's just that probably the number one preferred choice is still residential. I will say that if let's say they have an equity manager, and the equity manager they go into ROI, return of investment, this and that, probably they go in something into the conservation shop houses. I'm not surprised. They'll go into something like building. Recently there was this article that the Liberty House was sold for 90 plus million to a Chinese PRC who used to be the head of a oil and gas company in a state-owned company in China, from in Singapore. That was my wife previous colleague. So I think he bought from 92 million. So probably we see more and more of such transactions in Singapore, because commercial and industrial, there's no need for you to pay ABSD.
I see. Okay. Um, and what do you foresee is the overall impact to the property market? Do you see market crashing? Do you see market like stop or just stagnant, or slowly rising a bit, or slowly coming down? Which way will you see? Giving some experience
Okay.
from the previous ABSD.
Okay. Typically, every time when an ABSD is introduced, the market will need some time to adjust the shock. All right. And you also ground back to the supply and demand. So currently, what happened is that the new launch, like new port residences, the one at the Tanjong Pagar Shenton Way, they're supposed to launch by CDL, is postponed as well. The reserve residences, if I'm not wrong, is also postponed as well. I think that,
Postpone.
yeah, postponed. It's supposed to launch probably this week to next week for the new port residences. So developer need time to adjust the news, because there's no point to launch a project or new launch
Then
where
bolang.
where the market sentiment is so poor, and if let's say that the result on the initial day it is bad, it doesn't reflect well on the developer as well. So
You're right.
I think that they're
Yeah.
trying to wait for the things to settle down and then the relaunch at an auspicious timing. I think that's very important.
Mm.
But of course, the ABSD that was increased yesterday affect Singaporean and PR, basically who are buying on second property. So these days, people do decoupling, people sell one, buy two. I don't think Singaporean and PR want to pay for the ABSD 20 to 30%. So on the mass market, I always say mass market is like kampong lah, city fringe followed by the mass market. Um, I don't think it's going to any impact, any direct impact. Actually, the direct impact is more to the foreigner, to the CCR. Some of you have actually so-called type, in all the CBD area, where these are where the foreigner are buying, but foreigner are not buying the kampong area. So kampong area are largely heartlander, Singaporean just like us, or PR.
Oh, so you're saying like places like I don't know, Jurong East, like Simei, like Ang Mo Kio, all this.
Sengkang,
The foreign
Punggol,
Sengkang,
Yio
the
Chu Kang,
foreigners
Choa Chu
don't
Kang.
the foreigners don't buy the cow.
The number one favorite of all these rich foreigner, even just like Singaporean, if we buy Thailand, we don't buy the kampong, we buy Bangkok. So it's very simple. If the rich foreigner are coming to Singapore, they'll buy Orchard first. If not CBD
Hey,
area,
I buy Malaysia JB there. I didn't buy KL.
you're buying where the rich people stay. That's Austin Height. A lot of tattoos there. So it's the same thing. Sifu, you won't buy kampong area, right? In JB, right? So it's the same
You're
thing.
absolutely right.
So
You're absolutely right.
the measure typically will not have direct impact on the mass market because it only increased the ABSD for the second property. But for the normal buyer stamp duty, that is for Singaporean and for PR on the first property purchase, first timer,
No different.
no difference. So no
No
impact.
different.
No impact unless government really want to cool the market, really make the price drop. They increase the buyer stamp duty further. But the recent round, we have an increase from 4 to 5%, 5 to 6% for a certain quantum. So I guess that this is good enough unless they're trying to increase 3 to 4% to 6% to 8% for the normal buyer stamp duty, then I'll say the market will cool. If not, another scenario, people are telling me this and I'm been hearing this. Of course, I don't hope this will happen. And I think unlikely it will happen unless China and US go to war.
Mm.
And then if China and
Okay.
US go to war, Taiwan 会是第一个被开刀的 confirm. That's the thing. So, but unlikely will happen. But of course, if this happen, I think that we are going to prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Well,
I
we're
can't
talking
foresee.
about okay lah. So we're talking about those unforeseen global environment. And there I can make some comments about it on this one. So my take is that Singapore will probably be heading for a mild recession at least. I look at all the export figures is coming down and down and down. I look at businesses. My pulse is in many businesses. Doesn't look very good. So I'm in a take that there might be a mild recession that might soften a little bit. Then the gloom will come out a little bit and people start to I think maybe there's something there. I don't know impact on property. I'm not expert in property. There may be something there that will happen. My take is over the next 3 to 6 months. I can see it happen across the world. Many are predicting that. Uh, but but you're right. No, at least something macro must happen. If just business as usual, I absolutely agree with you. The fringe. I mean the out of the city area, condo. I don't think so. It's going to happen. Can you explain a little bit about decoupling for the information of our audience? What decoupling is, because it's commonly quoted, and why do you think people, if they want to get a second property, they can use decoupling legally to get to avoid the ABSD?
Okay. Now the last time that the HDB the owners that can do so-called a decoupling was 1st April 2016. I always remember that date because it's April's full day and 2016 because that was when one of my HDB owner successfully typically HDB has two owner. All right, so one that's where the HDB allow them that one of them can become an occupier just by transferring the share to the other half, so that allowing them to be one of them to become the occupier, and then from there free up the occupier to buy a second property back then. That was before 1st April 2016. Right now, cannot really. Cannot. Not legal. Okay, there's no way you can do it. HDB do not allow. So if you
So
want,
there's no such thing as changing yourself to owner to a occupier.
no point. But these
Okay.
days I see in the resale market as well as probably people who bought BTO from the very point when they purchase the resale HDB or the BTO, one of them choose to be the applicant, another choose to be the occupier, because they are planning for 5 years MOP, and 5 years later the occupier will free herself up to go and buy a second property that is often a condo or private condo, because they want to keep the HDB, they want to rent out. So this is often the behind the minds of Singaporean. Everybody want to keep the HDB because the rental yield is good. So you have to be occupier from day one itself, and you have to wait out for 5 years during the 5 years occupation. So these days, this is what some of the buyers are doing. Yeah, they form a proper family nucleus.
But once you decouple, which means that you do not own the other house anymore, you cannot. So the house can only service, the mortgage can only service by one owner, right?
Only one owner. So the owner is going to be
Yeah.
very strong. So probably if let's say the installment exceed your CPF contribution, you need to top up with cash, because the occupier you're not able to utilize. So
And
it's
I was
only
told that whatever you have used up for your CPF to buy the house, now you got to pay back all in cash.
payback in cash. Why
Yeah.
why do you need to pay back in cash?
That or payback. You got
Oh,
payback because
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes,
because it's
yes.
as good as you're selling your house to that one owner.
Oh, okay, that was back in 2016 and before. So
Okay.
two owner. So when the owner want to
Yeah.
become an occupier, he need to sell his CPF, and the other half need to use cash to buy over his CPF in order for
Something.
his or her
Yeah.
needs. But now you can't do that. No more already.
Okay.
No, no, no,
So
cannot.
okay. So let's say me and my wife both own a condo. Let's say a
Mm-hmm,
condo,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and I want to buy a second condo, right? So I sell all my shares. Okay. I basically can I just exit?
Okay, so Sifu is very simple. So this happened to me. Me and my wife 50-50 last year. So
Yeah.
I bought over 50% of my wife's share. My wife exit from the condo itself, and then she bought another one last year. So that's how we work it out last year.
When you buy 50%,
So I'll be the
do you
sole
have to
owner.
pay? Do you have to pay? Whoever bought, do you have to pay stamp duty on the 50%?
Yes, I have to pay the normal buyer stamp duty on the 50%,
Okay.
because it's the
So
same property. So there's no need for me to pay ABSD. It's just a normal buyer stamp duty on the 50%.
okay. So that's up to 5 or 6% now, right?
Yes, correct. So right now
Okay.
everybody is doing that. If
Okay.
if not
That
if not without my we are doing without doing this step, my wife and me have to pay ABSD last year for our second property.
sure. Okay. So in that sense, you alone must tong the whole house, ah.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And then now your wife can go alone to go and buy the house.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So this perfectly legal, nothing illegal about that. This is not the 99 one.
This is very, very legal, very, very legit.
Yeah, this super legal. But this measure only Ulu Lang can do it lah.
Um, okay, not say Ulu Lang, even Mr. Lu, Sifu, you can do it as well. Um, it
Maybe
depends
Mr.
on
Lu only one HDB.
okay. If you happen to read the newspaper article, there are around 13.8 to 14% of the household in Singapore where this is easily mm, this is easily quite a bit substantial. Where 13 to 14% of the household where their money income is more than 20,000. So I'm not trying to say that okay, there are people who are probably don't have such a high income, but there are also household income who are doing well, depend on what's the trade. Probably depend on how savvy they are, in terms of saving. Probably they're in a better position to do all this decoupling. So
I see. Okay. So by the way, we have 840 of you. Only a small number of you have given a like. Can you all please give a like? Remember to hit subscribe and follow as well. These are interesting times. We want to go live with expert view on a lot of things that happen. You'll benefit a lot from this 165 channel. Okay.
uh,
And also you will. Yeah. Sorry.
anybody want me to share about how how is 99.1 legit or not legit? I mean, if you want me to share, I can share since we're at this portion here or this segment
Okay.
on the
So
copy.
let's do a short one on this, and then we go back to the topic on the ABSD. Okay.
Okay, I did a TikTok as well. You can look for me, Dragon Tan, in TikTok. My videos are there, well explained. But anyway, I still do my part to explain over here. Because Sifu over here. Okay. Now now typically recently the IRAS was mentioning in the articles, and it was overemphasized not only once but two times to thrice. A few occasions. So people are trying to get upset, saying that hey, we cannot do 99.1. In fact, if let's say you are buying the property for the first time, husband and wife under the same OTP from the very start, you can decide on tenancy in common 99.1. It's okay. It's okay. Now, so how does people abuse this system? I share with you based on what I have here and what I have known in the market. Now, for often or not, husband and wife, we have buyer A and buyer B. All right. So typically is that buyer A probably is the husband who owns a HDB that is fully paid, or the husband is a multiple property owner, and the husband has a high income. So that's buyer A. Now buyer B can be a housewife or house husband with no income, and he or she does not own any property for this buyer B. So this buyer B, right, go and purchase a new launch or a resale, 100%. And the OTP, that's the option to purchase, has only one name right from the start, 100%. So eventually, she exercised this SMP, sales and purchase agreement, or OTP, at the law firm with an extended option date. 要拉长, cannot be too short. All right. Typically, new launch, there are people who do that. As far as I heard, yeah. Don't ask me who are. Yeah. So typically, what happens is that the moment when this buyer B, who has no income, housewife or whatever, she exercises it, all right, within that 1 week, she'll sell the 1% to the buyer A, who is a multiple property owner, or who has a HDB that's fully paid, or this buyer A has a high income. What is the purpose of doing so? It's because they want to use this area, or it's so-called a gray area that IRAS was saying that it's not legit, to get or to secure bank loan. Because how can a housewife secure a bank loan? So end day, buyer A who owns multiple property or who owns a HDB, he need to pay ABSD. But the ABSD, right, is based on this 1% share rather than 50-50. So right now you're clear. This is not legit according to IRAS. Yeah. And this method probably I've heard people using this since 2016, 2017.
How common is this?
According to
From
the
your gut feel?
minister is 0.5%. So if let's say you translate to 0.5%, is few hundred cases. So I don't have a true statistic. Only
Not
the
many lah.
yeah, not many, not many.
Not many lah. They'll probably go history and trace back and catch everybody who use it
Wow,
since
a lot of work, man. A lot of work, man.
yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
overtime for the IRAS officer. So
yeah.
question
But
is that, is it legit? I think that you still can do 99.1, but right from the start it has to be 99.1. Yeah.
yeah, okay, that's interesting. Let's go back to this. For those people who just came in, Dragon's analysis is that this new ABSD is likely to hit more the foreigners than local. Okay, and it's going to hit more at the central area, because most of the foreigners actually buy at the central area. It will hit hard here there, but most of the people at the there's out on the outskirts, all the buyers are mainly the locals, and the locals genuine first time. Most of them are first time buyer, or they decouple or use sorts of methods. Most of the case they don't actually pay the ABSD. Right? Am I right to summarize it?
Yes, Sifu. And Sifu, to add on, in fact, by slowing the foreigner, the rich foreigner from coming in, and their hot funds from pouring into Singapore, so-called the luxury market, right? In fact, it's good for the overall Singaporean. For people who are intending to buy, or who are probably looking to buy over the next 1 to 2 years, this is a time now. This is a time now for you to take a look. You need not buy through me now. Don't get me wrong now. I'm not trying to ask you to buy now. No need to buy through me. All right. I'm just sharing with the fact, because all these are hot money. And once the rich foreigner they buying the CCR, they'll free up the local CCR owner with a lot of hot funds as well. And definitely when people have money, they don't want to put inside the bank. The first asset they want to put in typically is either stocks or probably property. And then the CCR owner will probably go to RCR itself or buy landed. And then you free up another wave, another group of seller to go to OCR, probably in their 50s or 60s for retirement. So despite saying that, I was say that there's no direct impact on the mass market, but however, because you're slowing the funds from overseas, all this hot money, probably the rate of appreciation for the RCR, OCR over the next 1 year will start to slow down. The slope will be more gentle. This is my own gut feel, my own personal opinion. Because hot
Okay, can
money,
you explain? Can you explain what's OCR and CCR for some of our audience?
oh, there are three segments. There's one is a CCR, that is the central core region, all right. And then of course we say it's a CBD area, somewhere in
This is your district 9, 10, 11, is it?
District 9, 10,
More or less.
11. Yeah. Following
Okay.
which you have you know this RCR. RCR is city fringe. Rest of central region, it's parameter of the CBD area. It's like East Coast D15. It's like Tiong Bahru, Red Hill. These are the city fringe. Toa Payoh. So these are RCR. And then following which I always say Kampong, OCR lah. It, re-
Me. I stay
Me
kampong.
as well. Me as well. It used to be kampong 50 years ago. So that's where the heartlander is. So typically the heartlander are the one that's supporting the mass market. Just like any ordinary folks like us. So this is what I feel. Of course, if let's say right now we are slowing the amount of hot funds or this hot money flowing to Singapore, I guess that the rate of appreciation of property in Singapore will not be like last 2 years so crazy. For example, I just share something personal. Last year in around May, my wife commit one 3 bedroom, 1033 square feet for around 1.15 million. By the time when it reached around October to November, the price has actually appreciated from 1.15 million to 1.4 million. In terms of paper gain, we haven't sold anything. So paper gain is not profit, it's just paper gain. So that's around 20%. So it won't be like last year. So basically for this year, the trend, as what I mentioned before in the previous video, I expect to be a flat year, lah, if not a gentle slope. So this is my own personal sharing.
Okay. So do you foresee that the CCR, core central region, to go down?
I doubt it will go down. Typically the developers there are very uptas. They hold the price well. And some developer like the Far East, the giant developer, they can just hold on to the units and they sell slowly over 5 years, 7 years. No issue to them. This is already proven over the last 10 plus years. This is the price that I will sell, nothing below.
I see.
Correct.
So the only thing that will probably bring down the property prices is a macroeconomic situation, right? Like what we saw in 2008. 2008, everything went down, right? If I recall.
2000, you mean the Lehman Brother, huh, Sifu?
Yeah,
Yeah, Lehman Brother went down by 6 months. Everything went down by 6 months.
yeah, everything
Right.
went down. So I understand that, and that's quite something quite serious. Okay, so let's open up some for questions right now, guys. You have any questions for Dragon Tan at this moment? He's parked right down below my block in Singapore, and unfortunately I wasn't there. It was a communication problem. But please, take advantage of him who comes to our channel right now. Anybody have any questions? Okay, what do you foresee for OCR?
As I mentioned, it's going to be a flat year for this year, 2023. As compared to 2021, 2022, while the market went up sky by 10-15% a year, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Yeah. Of course, currently,
Okay.
there's still a limited supply in the market. This is my honest view. That's for in terms of sales and purchase. Now, in terms of rental, wow, interesting this year. This year is so interesting. Many interesting things happen. In the past, that was last year when the border opened for Singapore to, border open to Singapore. In May itself, one rental listing on Property Guru probably would attract around 50 calls to 80 calls within the next 3 to 4 hours. And most of the tenants and the experts are in the IT industry. However, after November last year, where it's not .com crash lah, Sifu. It's where the IT You know, I think that probably the IT is having some kind of restructuring going on. Um, Currently I don't see a lot of I don't find a lot of inquiries for rental itself. In the past, the rental is probably 30 to 50 calls within few hours. Right now, probably if every 2 days I have one call or two inquiry, that's all. And I don't think the IT industry is expanding as well as a semicon. On the ground, I know what's happening on the ground. On the ground, they are trying to downsize as well, and I don't think they are going all the way out to hire. So I've spoken to a few client and seller as well as landlord of mine who are in the IT industry. During the time where during the COVID years, the pay for the graduate from NTU NUS in semicon can be 5,500 to 6,500. So currently right now they are laying off. 所以 they are telling me 有工作做算很好了现在 and I don't think
Mm.
they're freezing the headcount as well for IT for semicon. So this is something on the ground. Rental wise, I think there's going to be flat as well, and probably with more supply coming to the market over the next how many months? Next 8 months. This year we have around a lot of mega projects that's going to be TOP, Can Reach, Momentum Park, Treasure at Tampines, Affinity, Riverfront. Probably I'll see that probably the rental will start to soften. My own personal view. How much I don't know. What's the percentage? I cannot tell, but it will soften for sure.
Okay. A lot of people talk. A lot of people. This one answer. A lot of people talk like getting Singapore citizenship is so easy. A lot of people say that, oh, the Chinese they come over and become Singaporean and then just buy property. Nowadays to get Singapore citizenship is very very difficult. Right? I don't know. What's your experience on the ground?
I don't work in ICA, Sifu, so I couldn't give you
Mm-hmm.
a direct answer. But based on an article like the Wall Street Journal, it claimed that there are around 2,000 plus rich
3,000 plus millionaires coming
2,000
in.
plus rich foreigner coming into Singapore last year in 2022. And then according to the
Mm-hmm.
Business Times test on 21st April, they're saying there are around 3,000 plus rich foreigner or multi-millionaires going to become Singaporean this year. However, on 25th April, the MHA actually refuted this so-called, it's not allegation, refute this fact. There's no
Yep.
basis. So so of course the rich foreigner have to come in Singapore as a foreigner. Eventually they need to be granted Singapore citizenship. So they need to be a certain series of procedure, assessed by ICA, which I don't know what's the protocol. But having said that, once you have foreigner coming to Singapore, rich foreigner, the first thing they will do is to rent condo. So rental definitely will be demand in the CCR area because they're the rich one, the atas one. And number two, probably they will buy car. If let's say you're a rich multi-millionaire, I don't think you may take bus MRT, but they are different category. So likelihood they'll buy a car. But typically for very rich, very, very rich billionaire or multi-millionaire, probably one car is not enough. Two car,
Yeah.
if not
Yeah.
three car. So I was
Yeah. Right.
always teasing my friend who want to buy car. Yeah, I think you better buy, because your competitor are the rich foreigner. And that's why the
Yeah.
CE keep going up. But I don't have any statistic. What is the proportion of people who bid for COE are the foreigner? I really don't have. Probably only LTA. No. Of course, eventually when they get a PR, ideally they want to get a PR first, because getting the PR, you buy your first property in CR area, and eventually I think they can get PR because they're so rich. They set up company, they set up, they employ, create job for Singapore and with significant contribution. Why not? So with PR status, probably they buy a condo or a residential property in Singapore. The ABSD is only 5%. So probably I think that they,
Okay.
they will wait lah. They will wait lah, Sifu. They will wait to get PR or
Mm.
citizenship. Yeah.
Okay. Can you give an opinion? What do you think will happen to HDB prices?
HDB prices. Okay. Last year November, December until February, these 4 months, the HDB is like graveyard, to be honest. In the OCR,
Really?
in the OCR
Even
area.
until now?
Probably some out of the 1,000 people right now, you are live on YouTube. Probably for some of you who are marketing your house for the last few months, and probably you have marketed your house since last year November to January, you will encounter that. And I think that Sifu, typically the last video I mentioned, the worst time to market is from November to January, and it's true.
Yep.
It was like a graveyard. So back then, I have sellers who are so anxious, so excited to market during that period of time. So I did tell them, I don't market during this period of time, very quiet one. So it was until recently in March itself, the buyers start to come back. That time was really bolang leh. Everybody is everybody is KP one. Not only the
Mm,
seller, the marketing agent as well. Because that's when
mm,
people are in the holiday mood. Wow, December, 出国,
mm,
出国, that's the first time they ready
mm,
to travel. So how
mm.
do I think of the HDB prices in the mass market? I think that it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. If let's say right now from March, April onward, we still see a huge wave of buyer coming back because there's really limited supply in the market. Not a lot of supply, lah, limited supply, and the demand is
Mm.
strong. Lah. And if let's say the price continue to go up over the next quarter, I I feel and I believe the measure will continue all the way. Have
That
to
means the government is gonna slap
confirm,
on more.
confirm
Yeah.
until
Okay.
the GE come.
Yeah, I
Yeah, my
think so
personal
as well.
opinion. Until the GE come.
Yeah, yeah. I also think that we are up for a cooling measure cooling measure in the HDB sector, because it's very unthinkable that the government is going to let can let the sorry, I gotta juice up my phone. Okay, it's going to let the HDB go just uncontrolled. Yeah. Okay, a few now. I got to ask you to answer a question very quickly. I got like 50,000 questions here for you. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna just pick those. They're very relevant. Um, wait. Any opinion on single bedder condo?
Single bedder, 1 bedroom or studio, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Traditionally, for the new launches, people go for 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 2 bedroom, 2 bath. So these are the investor who be buying. So the in future, when you want to sell in the resale market, your potential buyer are typically investor as well. Right,
Mm,
investor as well. Um, if not, these are the singles or joint singles who stay together in a studio
mm,
apartment or in the
mm,
1 2 bedroom or the 2 bed 1 bath bed unit. For
mm,
a proper family with kids, probably they are not the ideal category of potential buyer when for your unit should be put up for sales in resale. So, and if you really happen to read the trend and you really happen to study this historic transaction as well as margin, the best margin always go to the 3 bedroom and the 4 bedroom. The highest demand is always on a 3 and 4 bedroom, because most of the so-called buyers in the market when it comes to condo are still the so-called these days because investment unless you one property, second property you need to pay for ABSD 20%. So I don't think you hardly can find a lot of all these investor who has 2 or 3 property. At most only one.
mm.
So
Okay,
most of your ideal buyer are the family. Yeah.
okay. Do you think that the government will whack those will disallow now HDB owners to buy private property at some point in time for investment?
You mean do I think that the government will?
Will stop. That means a lot of people right now are owning a private house and HDB as well. So do you think the government will take measures to end this or to limit this kind of trend?
Okay, government has a ruling. Of course, if so long you fulfill your the HDB has this ruling, so long you fulfill your 5 years MOP, 5 years 5 years is also a great sacrifice. These 5 years, the if you really happen to study the price trend of the HDB and the private over the last 25 years since 1997, the gap is always widening, not narrow. So you need to wait for these 5 years HDB MOP. What happened after these 5 years? The gap between the private and the HDB widened again. So I doubt that the government will allow this to happen. But however, if you have a private property, you buy a HDB at age 55 and above, you have to sell your private. This is a typical standard ruling.
Mm,
And government
okay.
also had this since end September last year, 30th September 2022. I think they passed this ruling. You sell your condo, so long you're below 55 years old, you need to wait up for 15 months before you can buy HDB. So many
Mm,
measures already.
mm. I've got a person here called DC. He or she asked this question like gazillion times. I can ask, Dragon, can I have your opinion on the upcoming launch at the Reserve Residence at Beauty World at 2,500 per square feet, or buying a resale freehold at Hillview at 1,700 PSF?
1,300 PSF, is it?
No, no. So either you buy a new one at 2,500 PSF or buy a resale one at 1,700 PSF.
Okay. So this one, right? You have to decide on yourself, your personal opinion. What are you looking at? If you're looking at immediate, then you go for resale. Is it for your own stay or is it for investment? If for own stay, you die need to house your family member, you go for resale because it doesn't make sense because right now the rental is still very expensive. It doesn't make sense for you to probably to rent for the next 3 to 4 years. It's going to cost you a bomb as well. Yeah. And of course, reserve is an integrated. So unless you really earns to have this kind of lifestyle to stay in the integrated, you want to have the convenient, you can dress up in your singlet and your shorts and slipper, go down to have a cup of coffee at Yakun or Toastbox. This with this kind of lifestyle, then prepare to pay a premium for integrated. Just like J Cube,
Mm,
there's going to be a launch as well, integrated. So there's a premium to be paid for such a convenient. Okay,
okay.
so
Yep. So, I'll ask another 10 or more questions. So, very quick. So, does it make sense to buy a property just to rent out now? Because the rental income now hardly covers the interest.
yes. I share your view, I share your sentiment because you're asking the right person. I mentioned that last year that my wife and I did a decouple. We rented out the house. Back then the interest was around 1.6 when we just stood. And then eventually right now it's around 3.8 for 2 years fixed. So of course this question is always haunting me and haunting her. Um we've currently we're renting around close to 5,000 or 5,000 itself. And then you need to factor in a few things because you're buying resale and it's as a husband and wife. So you need to factor in your money installment and you have to divide into two parts. You just do your own calculation from the online itself. There'll be the money installment has two parts. That is principal and that's interest. Now currently I think our interest right per month is around probably close to 3,000. If let's say we are using 3.8%, that's for my wife unit. So if let's say the the installment is probably 4,000, put it this way, 4,000, 1,000 is principal, 3,000 is interest. You need to factor in two other things. One is the property tax. And this property tax because it's considered as second property under husband and wife name. So it's not it's not it's based on 10%. Non-owner occupied. So it's around 3,000 plus dollar a year as well. So you divide by 12 is around 300. And then you need to factor in another $300 for the MCSD fee. So the total costing probably is around 3,006 to 3,008 a month. And then of
Mm,
course, depend on the tenant that you rent. Some tenant are very empty one. They are asking for the sky. A lot of demand. Sometimes you need to have things for maintenance, this and that. So despite the fact that you're renting for 5,000, maybe end day your net is only 1,002. That is your actual saving 1,002. So you have to do some calculation. What is the amount of money that you put in terms of your capital and then your total return. And then of course you must love to manage tenant. You must love to manage people. So you do a calculation and see whether does it suits you. And I believe that with all these ABSD coming in, right? There'll be some other guru outside, probably or whatever quadrant, ask you to go for commercial, industrial property, high rental. You confirm one. Probably this thing is going to spring back again as what happened last time. Yeah.
okay.
All right.
Ask a few more questions. I get this question a lot of times, and someone asked it here. I have an old house right now that's 40 years already, or 30 something years, should I rejuvenate the house and just and buy a new house?
Oh, okay. Your house can be a condo or can be a HDB. It can be a 99-year lease, leasehold.
Mainly 99 years that people ask this question.
So long a condo or a HDB, right? So long as 99-year leasehold, is leasehold, it's less than 60 years lease and below. Um, your future potential buyer, right? In terms of the CPF computation, right? Usage, there'll be a limitation depending on their age as well. The loan will be a limitation as well. So this is things that you really have to think carefully if you decided to keep your 40 years old HDB or the 40 years old condo itself. So these are the things that you need to factor in. And if let's say you intend to stay in the HDB or in the condo until your last breath, I then 不要管这样多啦. Unless you think of wealth preservation, probably it's good that you have to reconsider. But also depend on your age. For my client who are in their 50s and 60s, right? Normally I ask them to hold on 不要搬来搬去 because older folks, right? They have this kind of fear. They don't want to move, which I understand. Um, they have this intention that if once they sell their property, they'll be homeless. They have no security, 没有保障. If you are still young, you're in your late 30s or early 40s, and then you think that your income and your job security is there, you still have a chance to upgrade within your own comfortable means, then do the planning now. Because by the time you're 50s, right, I don't think you want to go through all this hassle.
You're right. Okay. Okay. So there's this question which I will answer. Okay. I think there's a gentleman who asked, why is it that when resale flat goes up, our BTO price also go up? Because our land value goes up. When the resale flat goes up, the land value goes up, and then when the land value goes up, it gets computed into the cost of the BTO, and therefore BTO goes up. I have a staff who is traveling with me right now. She bought a BTO. What's the BTO? In the Commonwealth, is it?
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, Commonwealth. Uh, yeah, I think it's Commonwealth. Four
Wow.
room flat, 700,000.
Yes.
Yeah,
BTO or
see,
resale? BTO, right?
BTO,
Okay, the resale
BTO
is easily one
700,000.
one mil, yeah, 1 mil.
Yeah,
Congratulations to her. It's just like EC. When you buy something in this area like Commonwealth, Kim Mall, or Clementi area, you got a BTO. It's just like you gotten an
you you
EC.
you just basically struck jackpot. Yeah, but you imagine, she's only 22 years old, right? She got to pay for 700,000. My masonette when I bought it 10 years ago was $700,000, and I at that time already bought the highest already. Of course, my point is that times are different right now, but that's because neighboring resale flat prices have gone up. They bring up the price of land. That's why all these things happen. So that's why asset appreciation too much is actually hurts. It will hurt the affordability of our children. Yeah. So I think that's quite key. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what about en bloc? What do you think en bloc is right now?
So question is that right now, if let's say there are lesser foreigner coming into Singapore, or the foreigner are still coming in, but typically probably they will not buy directly as a foreigner status. They still need to wait for PR. Definitely, I believe that they will apply. If let's say I'm a rich multi-time millionaire, billionaire, right? Or for I buy when I'm a foreigner, I ran first lah. When I got my PR, right, I set up my company. I employ Singaporean. I have significant contribution. Then I get my PR, get my Singapore citizenship. Then probably then I'll buy. So this will be the first thing that come into my mind at this current moment. I'll hold on to my
Mm,
purchase first. I ran,
mm,
and then I set up businesses. So this will be the good thing. So now, um, question, question is that, uh, I guess that as per now, things will be more I still need to wait for more news and updates to surface. Yeah, before I can probably more or less give more of clearer and detailed judgment.
Channel News Asia, I suppose an analyst says that they expect a steep drop in private properties, and many like 40,000 units are coming out. I assume more of them are private property. So do you think do you agree with this analyst that property prices will fall?
Property prices will fall. Even property prices will fall. This year they are only 20,000. So I just wonder, drop is what? Drop in pricing or drop in the number of transaction volume?
I think it's prices.
Last few months the transaction volume is very thin. The last few months. So typically when the volume is thin, typically less transaction, it can be a drop. Prices, I think that is still relatively very flat. If you take a look at the property price index, uh, I I think that the fundamental for Singapore is still very strong. If you think that the prices is going to drop or to crash, I don't think yesterday the government will introduce the measure because the price is crashing. Right? We should not dampen the market further. We should not hurt the market further. It's because the government foresee already. The tsunami wave is here already. You better block it. We better prepare before the tsunami come in. And once the tsunami come in, then you start to have measure, right? No point, too late.
I agree with you. Yeah. So this reminds me of almost like a 1997 before Asia financial crisis. Property prices were going up and mad, and then surrounding economies are all crashing already, and the property prices going up. That's where the Lee Hsien Loong at that point of time, whack a uh, whack a no not Lee Hsien Loong, Goh Chok Tong and Lee Hsien Loong whack a very tough property cooling measure, and that was basically bursting because prices has gone above fundamentals already. Yeah, so I think it's really something, right? Yeah. So one last question is something that and one last question is something I always say. I don't know whether people one comment first. There are 1,100 people here. That's a lot of people. Can you all number one hit subscribe and more importantly, all give a like, especially for Mr. Dragon Tan. Okay, but let me quickly ask this question. The ministers have already said that our HDB will go down to zero. Okay, and when the 9 years come, that's official. Okay, so one day property prices will fall. Okay, will fall. It has to fall. That's right. Do you think the government will do something to change this announcement that they already made?
Um, well, this is very tricky, leh.
Yeah, it's a very tough
That's
question.
right. Because unless I'm the next PM, I'll do all my way to preserve the wealth of Singaporean. Because the ruling party will have to gain the support and favor. They cannot allow this to happen. When this happen, people get upset. I think that they will not vote in favor of the ruling party if they find that their asset becomes zero. So it's a very tricky thing. So far, I don't think anybody up there has given any concrete answer. Everything is very grey. But of course, I mentioned eventually when the list go back to zero, everything is very gray. There's no guarantee. But of course, you can do calculate as what I mentioned. If let's say you foresee that this is the place that you want to breathe until your last day in your life, you need a place to stay, just stay. It's okay. To me, it's okay. I think that it's okay lah. Unless you think that you want to leave something for your second gen or for somebody niece and nephew. Yeah, for the single. So as far as I know quite a number of buyers who are single. They live like YOLO because they feel that 我都没有孩子，我留给谁？我有钱我就花。Every weekend right now they are going short trip overseas. Yeah. So this is the life that certain people they embrace. I respect that. No right, no wrong. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. We are 1 hour in the, and then poor Dragon is in the car. First of all, let me just summarize the analysis that Dragon has came out with for said. The impact right now of the ABSD is unlikely to hit the outskirt of the city. Sorry, it's unlikely to see beyond the OCR and the CCR.
Uh,
The
OC,
OCR, the RC
right.
and the CCR.
CCR, yes, the direct impacts on CCR are unlikely on the RCR and this OCR. The
Correct.
mass market will still continue to move as per normal.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the first impact. Now, the why the central region will be hit is because the foreigners when they buy they likely go right into the central. Okay. So that there is some impact there. Okay. So I think that's the main thing. For HDB, currently right now we don't foresee an impact, but we do anticipate the government will do something about HDB in the near future because it's just going up.
So
Okay.
just do monitor the newspaper article and the media over the next 1-2 months. If there are more news of HDB hitting 1 million, it will come. Don't be too happy.
I
It will come.
agree with you. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Well, so thank you for no Dragon. You have been incredible help for everybody here. Everybody, please give a round of applause by hitting a like. Okay. Thank you, everybody, and
Thank
everybody,
you.
please say thank you, Dragon.
Thank you.
Taking taking the entire interview in the car. Okay. So I really see that it is very good that when something like this come out, we have time to digest this with the help of expert on the ground. Okay, last is Dragon is an incredible real estate specialist. If you all have any need for his service, just go
Yeah,
look for him. Just Google Dragon. I'm sure his contact is all over the internet. Okay, yeah, his name is damn special, Dragon. Okay,
yeah. I
yeah.
have done some TikTok on the video regarding 99.1, regarding the measure. Just feel free to add me on TikTok. I try to be as young as possible. Going to TikTok right now.
You gotta apply my make sure you apply my cream.
Oh yeah, I apply. Yeah, the collagen and the black bottle.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, thank you guys. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Dragon, and thank you
Okay,
everybody for
good.
joining us. Okay, we'll see you again. Okay, so I'll catch up you out again either in Singapore or JB. Okay, when
Okay.
my house transaction complete, I'll bring you in and take a look.
Okay. See you soon. See you soon, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Good night.
thanks
Good night.
everybody for joining us. Okay,
Good night.
thank you
Okay.
guys.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Thank you guys. Thank you.